Welcome back everybody, my name is Tucker, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about 6 secret weapons for teams inside the NBA bubble to use throughout the postseason. Every single team that I'm going to be talking about in this video is going to be in the playoffs, and each of them have kind of this thing that they can go to really completely change a playoff series. Now, a lot of you guys probably watched a video that I put out recently talking about an X factor for every single team in the NBA bubble. But this is different. It's not an individual player, but it's more so something that each of these teams can do from a schematic and a coaching standpoint that can really change and evolve how they play and help them win a particularly tough series. With that said, before we get into the video, if you enjoy content like this, then subscribing is an awesome way to keep up with the channel, and leaving a like rating is a great way to let me know that you're enjoying the content and helps the video out a ton as well. With that said, let's go and get started. Okay, first up is kind of the inspiration for this video, and it's about the Milwaukee Bucks. And it might seem a little bit strange to think about this team having some kind of secret weapon, right? Because it seems like they play in a way that's relatively rigid. They shoot a ton of threes. Giannis is the one playmaking most of the time, and when he's off the floor, Chris Middleton and then Eric Bledsoe, when he's healthy, are the other guys creating for them, and they just try and find a ton of threes, get to the free throw line, and then get to the rim as well. But there's an interesting thing that they do that they are allowed to do because of the way their roster is made up that's different than a lot of other teams. And their secret weapon is Brook Lopez post-ups. And I know that sounds strange because we all talk about Brook Lopez as this reformed three-point shooter, a guy that has completely changed his game to be a three-point shooter. But when you watch them play teams like the Rockets, or teams that generally like to go small, don't have a great defender at the 5 spot, this Bucks team has no issue whatsoever posting up Brook Lopez and punishing smaller defenders, and he still has plenty of skill in the post to be able to score at a really efficient level in the post. And it's interesting because it's a team that we know shoots a ton of threes, but also starts to go back to some of that pre-3-point shooting era offense, but it's so much more effective now because he's not going against traditional 5s a lot of the time. And so if you're a team that looks at the way that Milwaukee plays and you look at their lineup and think, oh, all we have to do is go small. We need, like a PJ Tucker type player on Giannis, and then everybody else defends the perimeter, and we should be okay on the backboards because they don't really crash the glass that hard. Well, that's not true, because Brook Lopez can absolutely destroy you in the paint if you don't have a big enough defender on him. And then if you do switch that out, he can go to the perimeter, they can go to their regular spacing. So that is, in my opinion, the very definition of a secret weapon, something that this team can break out that other teams don't really utilize in the same way, either because of personnel, because that's just not what they want to do. And it can have a huge impact in a postseason series. Moving on to number 2 now, and this is one that I'm sure a lot of people know about because it's gotten a lot of attention since the bubble has been a thing, and it's the Denver Nuggets with this big lineup with all their bigs that they tried out in the scrimmage. But it's not just that, it's the fact that they can go with that lineup because of Jokic's playmaking ability, because Michael Porter Jr. can score the ball while still providing a ton of size, because if Bol Bol does play, he can shoot, provide spacing as well. But it's the fact that they can still defend with that group. Like, they can go zone and still guard because they have so much length and such a great ability to make up space on the defensive end and on the perimeter, so that they're not giving up a ton of perimeter shots as you typically would in a zone in the NBA. Because more and more teams are going zone in the NBA, and it's mostly just to throw off what the other team is doing, to get them off balance, to make them think more about their offense than just running their sets and putting up threes. And if the Nuggets can do that and be proficient on offense with that bigger lineup, and still be able to play great defense with that zone, with those bigger bodies, because obviously they can't keep up in man-to-man, that provides them, just like this video talks about, a secret weapon that they can pull out that I don't really think very many, if any, other teams, with the exception of the Bucks, would have the personnel to be able to do because of how big Giannis is and his playmaking abilities. But I don't think it would even be as effective with that group either. So that is definitely one to keep an eye on. Next up now, number 3, it's the LA Lakers, a team that's already had an incredible season and has, I believe, recently locked up the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. And it's Anthony Davis at the 5. And it's so funny because we hear so many times about how Anthony Davis doesn't want to play the 5, and JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard play the 5 a lot, and AD just plays the 4. But when it comes down to it, when they really need to, Anthony Davis is going to play the center spot, and there's really no two ways about it. They are better when he's out there and they have more shooting and he's at the 5 rather than playing 2 bigs. They can still be effective, obviously, because for a lot of the season they've run that 2 big lineup and it's been fine. But the spacing and the offensive potential with Anthony Davis at the 5 would be incredible, and he can still be a great defender at the 5 spot as well. And they haven't really used it a ton, and they've saved it for the postseason for 2 reasons. One, because AD doesn't really love it and they still have to re-sign him in the offseason, and 2, because they want to still have something in their back pocket for the postseason, similar to how in the past we've seen the Bucks wait to go with Giannis at the 5 a lot until the playoffs, similar to how the Golden State Warriors have waited to go with that quote-unquote death lineup with Draymond Green at the 5 until the playoffs. That's what the Lakers are saving, and it is going to be a very proficient weapon when they do break it out and make them that much better of a team. Number 4 now is a team that's gaining a lot of steam over the last couple of days after their big win over the Lakers the other day, and it's the Toronto Raptors. And this is a secret weapon that they've been employing all season long, but is starting to get more coverage and more recognition. And it's how many different defenses they play and how much they adjust their defenses. And it's so weird. I generally don't make like cross-sport comparisons in these videos, but when you think about how throughout the years the New England Patriots have played defense, where they go from opponent to opponent and they adjust to what that opponent does best and they take that away, that's kind of what the Raptors do defensively. They can play fast, they can play softer, they can drop off more than pick and roll coverages, they can play really aggressive full court trap or half court trap and double team on pick and rolls. They have so much range, length, and intelligence on defense. I think that's really underrated and critical to what they're doing, so that they can switch things up from game to game, and Nick Nurse does a great job of figuring out what they need to do from game to game, but their players pick it up quickly and they can change so many different things that it makes them honestly a terrifying team to go up against when you're trying to run your offense. Now, for them offensively, they're going to have issues at times scoring the ball in the postseason, but defensively, they're going to be able to be in every game, and there's a reason why they still have such a good record even without Kawhi Leonard. It's because of the physical skill set and the mental skill set of their players and their ability to switch all different kinds of defenses depending on what is going to cause that other team the most problems. And that is a whole bunch of different secret weapons, all the different little defenses and adjustments they can go with throughout the playoffs. That makes a huge difference for the Raptors. At number 5 now is the Miami Heat, and this is kind of a weird one that maybe you wouldn't have thought about. And it's Bam Adebayo, but as a playmaker offensively, because so much revolves around perimeter playmakers and pick and rolls and ball screens now in the NBA offensively. And I mean, that makes total sense. It's a really effective play style. But there's only a handful of teams that really typically go through their big man as a playmaker at the elbows or in the post. The team like the Denver Nuggets definitely comes to mind. But Bam Adebayo has shown an ability to do that throughout the season, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Heat push even more towards that at certain points when they're really struggling to score, because I like a lot of things about this Heat team, but one of them that I don't really love is that they're a little bit limited in their perimeter creation, especially if Goran Dragic is going to be hurt at times. Jimmy Butler can create offensively, but isn't always the most efficient player. And so if you're playing against a team like the Celtics that has a couple of really good wing defenders that can shut down their perimeter playmaking, maybe you go more towards running your offense through Bam Adebayo at the high post, running screens off of that. And that is a nice, interesting little wrinkle just to have in your back pocket if you're the Miami Heat, to change up your offense and to be able to go with such a great and developing offensive player in Bam Adebayo, that I think that would just be a really nice thing to have in the back pocket. And I think that's something we're going to see a little bit more of depending on the circumstance in the playoffs. And then number 6 now, it's the Utah Jazz. And this is one that wasn't supposed to be a secret weapon coming into the year, but kind of has become one. And it's Mike Conley, because he did not have a good season at all. He didn't look right. He was in a new system. He looked hurt. It was all bad news for Mike Conley. And obviously the league being suspended and things like that was a huge issue, not just within basketball, but otherwise. But if there's one player that quote unquote benefited the most from the league being suspended, just strictly from the fact that he got some time off, it's probably Mike Conley, because he looks healthy. He looks like the old Mike Conley, and he looks like he's going to be a huge asset for this team offensively, especially a team that is already missing Bogdanovich due to injury in the bubble. It's going to be a huge deal to have someone like Mike Conley that can create for them on the perimeter, whether him and Donovan Mitchell are on the floor at the same time or not. And that, again, it's not necessarily a secret weapon, because we all know who Mike Conley is, and he was a huge addition for this team this offseason. But a fully healthy Mike Conley changes so many things for them offensively and makes them such a better offensive team just simply by having another perimeter option on the floor. And that would definitely be one to keep an eye on for Utah. And yeah, there you have it. That is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you all very much for watching. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think some other secret weapons there are in the NBA bubble for each of these teams. I covered these pretty extensively, but these are really just my favorite. I do think there are more, so let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think. But yeah, with that said, my name is Tucker. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on screen. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time.